Part 15. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 145. One more. Zhou Mikang's face quickly turned red to the base of his neck after Lin Yangkai's abrupt baba mouth, and before he had time to push his mother away, Zhu Xingcan appeared at the door, scolding Lin Yangkai, but staring at him full of tears. It is narrow. He knew how vicious this Aunt Jing, who had been in love with his mother and killed her all her life, had such a vicious mouth. Seeing Chu Xia hide behind Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe in fright, Zhou Mikang stepped forward and stood in front of Zhu Xingcan. Aunt Jing, usually I won't interfere with any quarrel between you and my mother, but this time, I can't. Zhu Xingcan looked him up and down, and couldn't help laughing. Little B, are you scared? Ha ha ha. She said and looked at Chu Xia. Little Chuxia, if you marry Little B, then you will live in the same room with the jealous mother-in-law. Look at how affectionate she was to her son just now. After that, she won't die of anger when she sees you making out with her son. It's better to marry our little Jie. My son and I get along very well. No matter how happy things happen, I will never kiss my son on the face. Lin Yangkai interrupted her with a wave of her hand. Okay, stop sowing discord. My Xiaomi and Chu Xia's marriage has already been settled. It's useless if you talk about some of these things. You'd better save yourselves. It was forced by you to make a decision. You are using power to overwhelm others. I don't like you doing this. Have you told Xiao Chuxia about Xiaomi and Yemiru? Seeing that Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe's expressions changed a little, Mr. Zhou had no choice but to stand up. Xiao Zhu, the matter between you and Yang Kaiu. Uncle shouldn't get involved in these matters between you, but this time it's different. The marriage between Xiaomi and Chu Xia has been finalized. You said that you came to our house to rob and wreak havoc. He is not suitable. Right? Besides, if you do this, how will Xiao Jie and Xiaomi get along in the future? Chu Xia is Xiao Jie's student. How do you let Chu Xia get along with Xiao Jie? Zhu Xingcan's eyes sparkled, and she looked at Chu Xia. Little Chu Xia, Auntie really likes you. No matter who you choose in the end, you are Auntie's favorite child. From now on, you can get along with Xiaoji as you want, and you can get along with Xiaoji as you like. Yes, Auntie wants to tell you that self-improvement is more important than anything else for a girl, and she should not give up her future just because she gets married. After speaking, she nodded to Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe, then turned around and pulled Jingjie. Son, let's go home. Xiaocan. As soon as Mrs. Zhou opened her mouth, she was interrupted by Zhu Xingcan. Aunt Zhou, I know why you called me to come over, and I also know why you left me for dinner. My son likes it? I will definitely like it, so. Knowing that you are using me, I rushed here anyway. Of course, I don't regret being used by you. Because I said everything I wanted to say. Xiao Chuxia already knew what my son wanted. Also know the attitude of our family. This is for me. Will suffice. As for who Xiao Chuxia will marry in the end, we respect her choice and will never forcefully interfere. But Aunt Zhou, I advise you to let go of your prejudices and observe Xiao Chuxia carefully. She is many times stronger than Yemiru, so don't worry about that woman anymore. Also, if Xiao Chuxia was wronged by marrying into the Zhou family, I would not stand idly by. He is my son's student, and I am her teacher and grandma, and I have the right to protect her. After finishing speaking, she ignored the open-mouthed old lady Zhou and walked out the door. Jingjie smiled at everyone apologetically, and hurriedly chased them out. I don't dislike Lin Chuxia either. After saying this dryly, Mrs. Zhou turned around and went back to the bedroom to hide. It's such a happy event. Lin Yangkai stomped her feet angrily. I'll settle the score with her later, and she won't feel well if she doesn't bother me a bit. As he spoke, he stepped forward to hold Chu Xia back. Chu Xia, you believe me, our family will definitely treat you well. I know. Chuxia smiled and looked at the people with different faces. It's all for my own good, I know. The old lady. Zhao Yushan looked at the crowd with a worried expression. I know that it is a great blessing for our family to marry in early summer, but the old lady. I didn't want to tell you about this. Since Xiao Zhu has already said it, it's better to say it sooner rather than later, so you can rest assured. Mr. Zhou sighed and asked everyone to sit down. Then he said, I believe that you also have concerns in your heart. How can it be possible that Xiaomi can't find a wife with such good conditions? Chu Xia has only been here for half a month, how could Xiaomi insist on marrying her? I believe these thoughts have been going around in your mind countless times, and it is impossible for anyone not to think about this matter. That's right, Xiaomi has been engaged before, and she is the child of my old comrade in arms. The two children grew up together, and they are quite right-tempered. They are also about the same age, so we decided to make an engagement for the two children early. Later, we invited the two children to study abroad. They were the last batch of children we sent abroad. At that time, we wanted to let the two children see the world more. Later, most of the children who studied abroad were repatriated, and the two of them were also included in the repatriation quota. Xiaomi's tutor likes Xiaomi, and the family has a little background, so he left the two children there to continue studying. But after all, they were still young at that time, and there was no persuasion from the elders around them. Xiaomi's mind was all on her studies, and the relationship between the two children became worse and worse. Later, they separated. Xiaomi is a stubborn child. After they separated, no one introduced him to him anymore. After all these years, Chu Xia was the only girl he liked. Xiaomi's grandma and Xiaomi's temperament are very similar, and she is also stubborn. She always thinks that Myru is her granddaughter-in-law, and she would be very sad if it were someone else. But don't worry, when the two children get married and get along for a long time, Xiaomi's grandma will definitely turn the corner. As long as she turns the corner, no matter what others say, she will only protect Chuxia. Lin Yangqiu answered quickly, yes, in-laws, my mother-in-law is like this, don't worry, she will definitely like Chuxia. Xiaomi and her temperament are so similar, if Xiaomi likes it, she must like it. Aunt Tuesday also said, yes, my mother-in-law is such a person, she will be the most stubborn, but maybe she will protect Chuxia the most in the future. Well, my grandma is really such a person. That's right. My third brother likes it. She has no reason not to like it. Zhou Mikang stood up, waved his hand and interrupted the Zhou family's expressions, and looked at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan seriously, Father, Mother, with me here, Chuxia will not suffer. It was just such a simple sentence, but his expression and tone finally made Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan feel relieved. At the same time, they figured out why Zhou Mikang fell in love with Chuxia, and the stone in their hearts was finally lifted. Opened. This time, without the Zhou family saying anything, Lin Baohe took the initiative to say that the Zhou family could handle the marriage as they see fit. He and Zhao Yulan had no objections at all. It's up to us. Mr. Zhou smiled and waved his hands, you are just such a girl, of course I have to listen to your opinions. The engagement requires the man to go to the woman's house, but right now, Chuxia is not very convenient to ask for leave. Of course, we don't mind Chuxia not being a soldier and changing to another job, but judging from the previous agreement between her and Xiaomi, I'm afraid we are reluctant to leave the medical team. Since she wanted to stay there, she had to think more about how she would get along with her comrades in arms in the future. If the gap was too big, there would inevitably be things like jealousy and comparison. As far as Chuxia's physical condition is concerned, one thing more is worse than one thing less, so we also agree with her idea of not making an announcement for the time being. Otherwise, let's have an engagement banquet the day after tomorrow, and our two families will have an engagement banquet together. Even if this matter is settled, when we get married, we will specify that Chusia should not be wronged. What do you think? Lin Baohe glanced at his wife's expression, then at the expressions of his uncle and sister-in-law, and immediately made a decision. We have no objection, we can do whatever we want. Mr. Zhou looked at Chusia. Little Chusia, what do you think? Chusia stood up generously, and bowed to Mr. Zhou. Thank you, Grandpa, for being so considerate of me. I have no objection. Everything will be arranged by Grandpa. Haha. Mr. Zhou's grudge against Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan has completely disappeared now, and he patted his elder son on the shoulder with a hearty smile. Jingping, are you happy? Zhou Jingping nodded excitedly. Of course I'm happy. The son is willing to call him dad. The son finally got out of the haze of the failed relationship. How could he be unhappy? Would you like to report this matter to? Zhao Yushan pointed to the bedroom where Mrs. Zhou stayed, and smiled embarrassedly. Should you report to the old lady? It's not that I don't believe Uncle Zhou's words, I don't want to because of this incident. Aunt Zhou will have lumps in her heart from now on. Mr. Zhou waved his hand. I will discuss this matter with her later. She has such a bad temper, it will be embarrassing, and it is useless to ask her. This. The passbooks of Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were placed on the table. This is too much, we really can't accept it. Of course, we will definitely ask for the gift money that is required. The implication is that the Zhou family can prepare suitable gift money for them on the day of engagement. Mr. Zhou's eyes turned to Zhou Mikang, and he knew from his expression that he was letting Zhou Mikang make up his own mind. Zhou Mikang took the passbook back and glanced at it. After a moment of silence, he said, Okay, I'll take this back first, and give the gift money on the day of engagement. I have a request. Chu Xia hesitated and stood up. The engagement is limited to those of our own family, okay. There are many people with mixed eyes and mixed mouths. She really doesn't want everyone to hang her with the halo of Zhou's family when her career has no prospects at all. Okay, Zhou Mikang responded happily, I promised you this a long time ago. If you don't tell me, I will tell my family. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 146. No matter what they say, everyone understands in their hearts that this marriage is indeed a deal for them to exchange for benefits. Therefore, after being smashed by Chu Xia in such a way, it is inevitable that their faces will be a little unnatural. Mr. Lin, except for the wife, she gouged out Chu Xia's eyes, and said in a strange way, hurry up and help your parents pack things, what are you doing here? Mr. Lin's brows twitched suddenly, and he couldn't embarrass his wife in front of all the juniors, so he coughed lightly and knocked on Kang Yanner with the pipe stick. Sit down. Chu Xia, come in and sit down and talk. And Yang Aihua is a smart person. Seeing her father-in-law say something, she immediately put on a friendly smile on her face, and stepped forward to grab Chu Xia and drag her in. Chu Chu, take me from your grandma's, give the orange candy you brought back to your sister. Yo, upgraded to be a sister? The corner of Chu Xia's mouth twitched unconsciously. Although she was a few months older than Chu Chun Chu Chu, her uncles and aunts kept asking them to call her by her first name. This slight change is enough to explain the problem. Chu Xia, grandpa and grandma are just saying angry words. How can they really let you move out of that house? Go back and tell your parents, don't worry about living there. Uncle Lin Baohai's voice was also rare and friendly. Obviously, he thought she was here to plead for mercy, not to let their family move out. How can you be angry? In the early spring and early autumn, we have also reached the age of seeing our daughter-in-law. If someone comes to take a look at this house, it will not be successful. The old lady stared at Chu Xia angrily. Just treat me and your father as harming you. You can live a good life by yourself after marrying, and you can also help your younger brother. You say you are twisting. Do you think you are the Lin family? Grandma means, as long as I promise to marry into Shui's family, you and grandpa won't move away, and it won't affect the search for a wife in early spring and early autumn, right? The old lady Lin took it for granted. That's right, I went to serve as a soldier in the early spring and early autumn. It's not a pick and choose to find a wife, why should I let others pick and choose? Here Chu Chu stuffed a few pieces of orange candy into Chu Xia's hands. I don't expect to be a soldier in your light, I want to do it on my own. If you want to marry, marry, if you don't want to marry, don't marry, don't have a bad time then, think that we are dragging you down. Chu Xia looked at this awkward child unexpectedly. For more than half a year, she didn't have much contact with the twins, but every time they met, they would tease and tease her. Chu Chu was no exception. Now it seems that he is not confused when it comes to major matters, and also responsible, which is rare. Unconsciously, Chu Xia showed him a kind smile, but the child gave him an awkward look. I'm not protecting you, I can't afford to lose that person. Can't you talk well if you have something to say? Yang Aihua glared at his son, and patted Chu Xia's shoulder. Eat candy, Chu Xia, this is what my aunt left for you, eat it. When she was still that greedy and lazy Lin Chuxia. The whole family sang with red faces and white faces. When she compromised, she believed that Chu Chu was sincere, but other people, he. Uncle doesn't want to take advantage of your marriage, but just thinks that you are in poor health. Marrying into Shue's family will enjoy more happiness than marrying into Luo's family. Lin Baohai said in a sincere tone, we are all a family, how can we not look forward to it? Hello. Right, Chu Xia. My uncle doesn't know about my mother and Xue Ligang? Doesn't my uncle know what kind of temperament Xue Ligang's wife is? A trace of unnaturalness flashed across Lin Baohai's eyes, but there was still a smile on his face. You child, you hold more grudges than your father, that happened many years ago, why do you still remember it? As for Director Xue's daughter-in-law, what complaints does she have? If your mother hadn't given Xue Ligang to her, how could she have become the daughter-in-law of the Xue family? Chu Xia was not annoyed, and looked at him with a smile. Why does the Xue family insist on marrying me? Why did they promise our family so many benefits? How can I deserve them to do that? After hesitating for a while, Lin Baohai said, maybe it's to make up for the regrets of the past, and to make your mother feel more comfortable. Chu Xia put the sugar on the Kong, took a step back, and looked at everyone seriously. Do you know why I came here? Because my father and mother think that my uncle's attitude should be different from others. In order to make them make up their minds determined, I must let them understand my uncle's intentions. Uncle, you can't even persuade yourself with your inconsistent rhetoric, right? My father said, when he came, you didn't say a word, you were very helpless, your helplessness should be because you think my father is not enlightened, right? When I came here, I told my parents that if their ideas are proved to be wrong, our family will not have anything to do with you in the future. Before everyone could react after speaking, Chu Xia's figure disappeared outside the door. Damn girl! The bigger you are, the more you don't look good. Listen, what did she say? Mrs. Lin was the first to explode. It seems that what that girl said is true. Mr. Lin sighed leisurely, let's think about it carefully, how to tell the Xue family. Mrs. Lin pursed her lips in disdain. I want to see if they would rather sleep on the street than marry the Xue family. Chu Chun, go and tell them that they have to move out the day after tomorrow. Chu Chu grabbed Chu Chun who was about to run out. Grandma, you are driving them to a dead end. This child, why is he possessed? Just talk nonsense. Mrs. Lin glared at Lin Chukiu. Send me a message. Lin Chukiu shook his head. The words are so clear, Grandma still thinks it's for her own good. Then he let go. Forget it, do whatever you like, don't get involved with me anyway. Mother, forget it. Lin Baohai sighed sullenly. If something really happens, our family will be looked down upon by others. Isn't it because I can't be an official, I can't be a soldier in the early spring and early autumn, other people can't be an official. Don't those who don't serve as soldiers have a good life? You idiot, it's not like you don't know how much your second brother and sister-in-law protect Chusia. Even if they can do it themselves, they are willing to let Chusia do it. Where can they move? The Luo family. Even for Chusia, they can't move Luo's house. At this moment, whoever persists will get the good fruit. You can't be discouraged. If you don't have this opportunity, it's fine. Opportunities are coming to you. If you give it away like this, are you willing to give it away? Lin Baohai hesitated, with a troubled expression on his face. Mr. Lin glanced at the old lady. I understand everything. When talking to Chusia, can't you be softer? That's a stubborn kid. If she really screwed up, the second child and the second daughter-in-law can't screw her up. Then go out and suffer for a few days. At Shue's side, Baohai will tell them to deal with them as they please. Mrs. Lin said confidently. Mr. Lin clicked on his cigarette pouch and remained silent. Obviously, he was also thinking about it. Chu Chun ran back panting, Grandma, they were already packing up when I went. Packed up? Mrs. Lin sat up straight suddenly. Is it really packed or is it just for you to see? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 147. 2 chapters combined. Knowing that Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang's engagement party will be the day after tomorrow, Luo Xiaoxian stares into a circle, the day after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. Li Aiwan hugged her tongue in a funny way, and Luo Xiaoxian, who hadn't said a word for a long time, said, yes, we will get engaged the day after tomorrow, and then we will get a marriage certificate, and we will have a banquet in mid-October. Luo Xiaoxian pinched her thigh, pinched it again, and after confirming that she was not dreaming, she still looked at Chu Xia with suspicion. Really, huh? Chu Xia nodded in response, expressing confirmation. This is too fast. I thought I would be able to get married at the Chinese New Year at the earliest. I didn't expect that you would get married earlier than me. After finishing speaking smoothly, I realized that I was still in front of the future. As for her mother-in-law and father-in-law, no matter how free and easy Ren Luo Xiaoxian was, she felt embarrassed, and at this moment Zhao Qiliang solemnly assured her, I will work hard, and strive to be qualified to marry you as soon as possible. Damn it, that's not what I mean. Luo Xiaoxian blushed quickly to the neck, hugged Zhao Yulan's waist regardless, then retracted her head into her arms, pretending to be an ostrich. This is just like my son. Li Aiwan patted Zhao Qiliang's head in satisfaction. Just do what you say, don't make mother wait too long. Zhao Yushan took a puff of smoke and said longingly, it would be great if I could marry Chu Xia together. Father. Zhao Qiliang smiled helplessly, if you can become the county magistrate in October, I can marry Xiaoxian back home in October. Cough. A puff of smoke made Zhao Yushan cough violently. While coughing, he pointed at Zhao Qiliang with his fingers, waiting for his breath to calm down. Cai said, you boy. You are too unambitious. Father, it's not ambition, it's whimsy, I haven't filed a love report yet. Before Zhao Qiliang finished speaking, Li Aiwan slapped her son on the head with a slap. Why don't you make a love report? We're engaged, why don't you make a report? Isn't it too late? Zhao Qiliang explained with a bitter face, I have been busy with training and reviewing since I came back, and I plan to report after the exam. What test? Why after the test? Mother, the requirements for the military academy entrance examination have been relaxed this year. All of us soldiers are eligible to take the examination. Now, apart from training, everyone is busy reviewing, and the examination is due in more than a month. Son. Are you going to military school? Lee Aiwan's eyes lit up all of a sudden. After going to the military academy, you will be an officer, right? That's a serious officer, right? Yes, Zhao Qiliang nodded and looked at Luo Xiaoxian. Xiaoxian, when I made this decision, I didn't know that you were going to 401. I was just thinking about it. Do my best to let you live a good life. Now, since I know that you have developed better, I can't even make a move to embarrass you. Please also forgive me for not being able to make a love report for the time being. You just have to trust me that Zhao Qiliang will never do something like a dog. Originally no report was made. She believed it to let her live a good life, but she didn't report it now. But it wasn't because she was afraid of losing her face, but because of male chauvinism. She couldn't accept that she was better than him. Luo Xiaoxian curled her lips quietly, and said nothing. Li Aiwan looked puzzled. What does this love report have to do with being admitted to the military academy? As she spoke, she slapped her forehead and her eyes widened. Son, wouldn't it be because you are admitted to the military academy that you are not allowed to get married? Then, that's not the case. It's too suitable. We can't drag Xiaoxian like this. Mom, it's not what you think. In the past, it was recommended to go to the military academy. This year, this is the first time that everyone has been allowed to take the test according to their ability. If there is a love report, if there is someone with the same score as me, they will prioritize the admission of the other party. Although the possibility of this is not particularly high, it is better to be on guard. You don't want me to work hard and end up brushing it off for this reason, right? Li Aiwan frowned. Who stipulated this? Why don't those who have filed a love report? This is not appropriate. Mother, don't get excited. There are no specific regulations on this matter, but everyone knows that there is such an unspeakable frame, that is, getting married 2 months later, the same. What is the same? I want to report to my grandson for 2 months. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. Sister-in-law, there are so many good things you can say about your daughter-in-law, but with this one sentence, all your good things will be rejected. Chu Xia. Auntie, can we not be so straightforward? Luo Xiaoxian. Granny, it turns out that you don't like me, but your grandson. Li Aiwan, who had leaked her thoughts, was also embarrassed. She wanted to make amends, but she couldn't find a suitable explanation. For a moment, a thin layer of sweat appeared on her anxious forehead, and Zhao Yushan glared at her. Xiaoxian, just working, how can you have a baby so early? You are just fooling around. Hee hee. Li Aiwan sneered, didn't I say this in a hurry? I'm not a mother-in-law who doesn't think about my daughter-in-law. Xiaoxian and Qiliang are married. I must be for Xiaoxian's first think about the future. Luo Xiaoxian stood up, smiled at everyone, and said goodbye. I still have to rehearse, so I will go back first. Zhao Qiliang followed suit and got up. I'll see you off, he said, and looked at Chu Xia, who also stood up. Just spend more time with my sister-in-law and uncle. I'll see Xiaoxian off. Okay, 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 Chu Xia responded repeatedly and sat back, adopting a policy of ignoring Luo Xiaoxian's supercilious look. You. After the two of them left, Zhao Yushan nodded at Li Aiwan, with a helpless expression on his face. Who can talk so stupidly? Even if you want your grandson to go crazy, you can't talk nonsense, can you? Sister-in-law, I shouldn't interrupt as a sister-in-law, but I really want to say a few words about this matter. This child Xiaoxian is a good child. We can't ruin her future just for the sake of inheriting the family. Lin Baohe didn't express his opinion, but it was clear from his expression that he supported his wife's statement. I understand these principles even if you don't tell me. Li Aiwan sighed softly. This child Xiaoxian can agree to marry Qiliang, it is because our family has made a lot of money. This child. On character, on family background. In terms of future, everything surpasses Ki Liang. But it's like this, I'm even more uncertain. I hope she can get married with Ki Liang, have a baby, and stabilize. I'm really afraid that this daughter-in-law will accidentally run away. Li Aiwan glanced at Chu Xia and didn't say any more. I'm so worried. Zhao Yulan looked at her face. How can I not understand what my sister-in-law is thinking? Shuxia has only been here for more than half a month, and she is considered to be married by the leader, and Luo Xiaoxian will be spotted by some leader when she goes to 401. If people like Luo Xiaoxian are also like Zhou Mikang, then it is really impossible to estimate who Luo Xiaoxian will choose in the end. In some respects, Li Aiwan's worries are not unreasonable. Li Aiwan sighed quietly. As far as our family's conditions are concerned, it is not difficult to marry a daughter-in-law. If I am not very satisfied with Xiaoxian's daughter-in-law, I don't have to worry about it. With Chu Xia here, you don't think there is anything else? Isn't it just worrying? Zhao Yushan gave her a look. Unless the two children want to separate, no one can do anything about it. That's right. You see, I'm such a fool. Li Aiwan laughed suddenly. There is Captain Zhou here. Who dares to force Xiaoxian? If Xiaoxian really likes someone else, then this daughter-in-law doesn't matter. Look at me, it's really a dead end. On the way, Zhao Qiliang and Luo Xiaoxian remained silent. Seeing that the female soldiers' dormitory could be seen, Zhao Qiliang gently tugged on Luo Xiaoxian's sleeve. Are you angry with me? No. That's to be angry with my mother. Nor. With your temper, you're a little bit happy and unhappy, and you still don't admit it. Zhao Qiliang smiled bitterly. Xiao Qian, you may think that my mother is not thinking of you, so she just wants to let you go. Hurry up and give her a grandson. In fact, she has no idea in her heart and wants to use her child to tie you, daughter-in-law. Ah, Luo Xiaoxian stopped and looked at him in surprise. Why do you think so? No, how could she not believe me so much? I've already promised it. Why don't you believe me? It's not that she doesn't believe you, it's that she doesn't have confidence in where you're going. There are some things that you can't do whatever you want. Just say my little cousin, you say she really wants to marry Zhou Tuan willingly. Is it long? Of course not. This is the end. Zhao Qiliang spread his hands. Of course, from my point of view, I think Chu Xia's marriage is perfect, but I believe that you and Chu Xia don't think so, right? Yes, Luo Xiaoxian nodded. I admit that Captain Zhou is truly young and promising. Whether he is good looking or from a good family background, he is the ideal husband candidate in the minds of many girls. However, after all, the method he used made people look down upon it. It was simply buying and selling by force. With Chu Xia's current situation, anyone who wanted it or not could have no choice but to be willing. The same reason, what if you also meet such a person? Impossible. Without even thinking about it, Luo Xiaoxian shook her head and vetoed. My appearance is no match for Chu Xia, so it is impossible for me to encounter such a thing. To be honest, I used to think that my appearance was good looking, and Chu Xia's appearance was not good looking, because everyone said that, but now, I know that Chu Xia is really good looking. However, to be honest, Chu Xia was able to marry Tuan Zhongzhou, which was considered a good marriage. Judging by her appearance, if she really married an ordinary person, it would be difficult to protect her well. You said that Shuxia married the head of Zhou to protect her. I agree, but you said that you and Shuxia are incomparable. I disagree. Each flower is in each eye. Shuxia has the beauty of Shuxia, and you have your beauty. If you don't believe me, we can make a bet. After you go to 401, there will definitely be officers who will take a fancy to you. Luo Xiaoxian laughed happily. If you say that, I will take it as you complimenting me for being good looking, but let's forget about the bet, because I believe that no matter whether I or you, I will probably meet someone who is nice to me in the future. As for me, I just want to make an agreement with you that if such a person appears, I must immediately refuse and report to the other party. I don't want to part ways because of unnecessary rumors and mutual suspicion. Okay, I agree with that. Zhao Qiliang looked at her seriously. Xiaoxian, you have really grown up. Cut. I've grown up a long time ago, okay. Are you discriminating against me? Luo Xiaoxian tilted her head in dissatisfaction. To tell the truth, when I agreed to marry me, did you think that everyone should get married anyway? Since I took the initiative, just accept it? Of course not. Zhao Qiliang rubbed her head amusedly. Why are you still looking for bad debts? You used to go to our house with Chuxia, and I really like your character, so when I received the letter, I learned that you and I after the marriage, my first reaction was to be happy. Then how do you feel about Zhong Hongying? I don't feel anything. Then you wrote back to her. Before. Wasn't that out of politeness? Then you didn't reply to my letter out of politeness. You didn't write to me again. You need me to write to you before you reply. Luo Xiaoxian rolled her eyes in dissatisfaction. You should think of me the first time you receive Zhong Hongying's letter, and then write me back. What is the logic? Zhao Qiliang really knelt down. He realized for the first time that his little fiancée, Hu Chenman's entanglement, really wanted his life. Luo Xiaoxian suddenly stared at Zhao Qiliang with bright eyes. That's right. Has Zhong Hongying written to you recently? Xiaoxian. Zhao Qiliang felt that it was necessary to communicate with the other party about certain issues, so he looked directly at her seriously. Are you confident in yourself? Of course I am confident in myself. But this has no direct reason for me asking Zhong Hongying if she has written to you. Of course I know that you like me, so it is impossible to have any thoughts about her. What I want to be sure now is her thoughts, because she has been writing letters to my brother, and even ran to my house braggingly to announce her relationship with my brother. If she still writes to you now, then she. Luo Xiaoxian shook her fist. She must be dead. Snort. It turned out that her little excitement just now was because of this. Zhao Qiliang smiled helplessly. You know I'm engaged to you, but you still write letters to me and then to your brother. Do you think she is stupid? Didn't write it. Luo Xiaoxian let out a disappointed breath. I thought I could catch her as a trick. Hey, look at my brother, that idiot, thinking about her like a treasure all day long. I get angry. Actually, Zhao Qiliang was about to say a few words for Zhong Hongying, but after some thought, he quickly changed his tone. Actually, you don't have to worry too much about this matter. Your brother is straightforward, but he is not stupid. After getting along for a long time, you can tell whether Zhong Hongying is sincere to him or not. Luo Xiaoxian waved her hand. You don't need to comfort me, it's only my brother's brain, which is not much smarter than a pig, can tell the truth from the false. Zhao Qiliang has black lines all over his head. Did he say that about his own brother? But thinking of Luo Hongying's one-sided character, he felt that Luo Xiaoxian's words made sense. Have you ever said that about your own brother? Luo Xiaoxian quickly covered her head. Oh my god, you really can't tell people behind your back. Why did her brother suddenly appear? Turning around slowly, squeezed out a smile. Brother, why are you here? If I don't come, you still don't know the impression I have in your heart, Luo Hongying said in a low voice. Brother, don't I hate iron and steel? Our parents are going to be pissed off by Zhong Hongying's family at home, but you are too born to help them. Hey, forget it, you won't listen to what I say. It's so late, why are you here? I came out to go to the bathroom, and when I saw someone like you, I came over. Luo Xiaoxian suddenly remembered that she didn't tell her brother that Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan were here, so she said, by the way, Uncle Baohe and Aunt Yulan are here, do you want to go and see them? I have to go back to rehearse, would you like Zhao Qiliang to take you there to see them? Can Lin Chuxia be promising? It's only been a few days since I came here, and I have brought my second uncle and second aunt here. Hey, raising such a girl is really terrible. Luo Hunky sighed heavily, and said, okay, let Qiliang accompany me to visit my second uncle and aunt. His words made Luo Xiaoqing and Zhao Qiliang both black lines. At this moment, Zhao Qiliang really felt that Luo Xiaoqing's description of Luo Hunky just now was very appropriate. Was it something a sensible person did to speak ill of his little cousin in front of him? Forget it, it's meaningless to argue with such a bastard. Zhao Qiliang smiled at Luo Xiaoqing. You go back to rehearse, I will take my brother to the guest house to meet my sister-in-law and uncle. Luo Xiaoqing pulled Zhao Qiliang aside, gave a few instructions in a low voice, and then turned and walked towards the female soldiers' dormitory. My sister said half. Luo Hunky stopped talking and said nothing more. Zhao Qiliang glanced at him unexpectedly. What are you going to say? My younger sister loves Lin Chuxia. She thought it was for Lin Chuxia's benefit, but in fact, it was just to harm her. In this life, can she still protect Lin Chuxia? Zhao Qiliang couldn't go along with it, so he said, that's my little cousin. Brother-in-law, it's because I'm your little cousin that I talk like this. Otherwise, I don't worry about it. You see, it's only half a month since I came here, and I have recruited my second uncle and aunt. It will take 2 years being second uncle and second aunt still have a way to live this day. I really can't talk to this person. Zhao Qiliang then walked forward with his head sullen, and stopped talking to Luo Hunky. It's a pity that Luo Hunky decided that he did this for Chu Xia's good, and he rambled on and on along the way, and finally, Zhao Qiliang couldn't listen anymore, so he said with a sullen face, brother is actually not talkative. Luo Hunky knew no matter how stupid he was, Zhao Qiliang thought his wife was talking, so he shut up. Silently followed behind Zhao Qiliang without making a sound. After Zhao Qiliang and Luo Xiaoqing left, Zhao Yulan, Lin Baohe, Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan chatted for a while, and then took Chu Xia back to another room. Originally, Zhao Yushan and Lin Baohe shared a room, and Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan shared a room. Coming here in early summer, considering that the family of 3 can get along well together. It was only tonight, and Chu Xia was about to get married, so Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe must have a lot to say to her, so Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan suggested that the 2 families live together. Anyway, when he was at home before, Lin Baohe's family would squeeze together on a kong. Now, it's no big deal for a family of 3 to live in one room. As soon as Xia entered the room, Zhao Yulan hugged Chu Xia, her eyes turned red. Even in front of her brother and sister-in-law, she didn't have the nerve to show the sourness in her heart. After all, it was a blessing from heaven that her daughter could find such a husband's family. She didn't want her brother and sister-in-law to say that she was hypocritical. But in fact, she was really worried about this precious girl. When she was young, Chu Xia was not a docile temperament. In the past year, she has become a lot more sensible than before, but if she really married into a high family like the Zhou family, God knows if she will be liked. She herself has never been liked by her mother-in-law and her father-in-law, but she knows very well how it feels to be disliked by her in-laws. From the perspective of going forward, there is no problem with Chu Xia's future mother-in-law and father-in-law, the key is Mrs. Zhou. Even though Mr. Zhou relieved them and they themselves believed Mr. Zhou's words, she was worried from the bottom of her heart when she thought that her daughter was married so far away. At this moment, when she was alone with her daughter, she no longer hid her emotions. Lin Baohe hesitated for a moment, stepped forward to hold his wife and daughter in his arms, and patted gently, "Don't worry, I'm here." Zhao Yulan raised her head and gave him a white look. "What's the use of having you? No matter who it is, if they dare to bully my daughter and my daughter-in-law, unless they step over me." Zhao Yulan blushed all of a sudden. You. Originally, Chu Xia, who was so hugged by Zhao Yulan and felt sore in his heart, laughed Puchi and said, "Father, I can't tell, you can talk sweetly, I know why mother was willing to marry you back then, I must be coaxed by my father so that I can't find the north." He Lin Bao he looked smug, "Xia, your mother married me, which made many people envious. Your mother has a good heart, and everyone in 10 miles and 8 villages knows that I am the only one who is blessed." "Go, go," Zhao Yulan pushed Lin Baohe away, "now we're talking about my daughter's marriage, why are you here to join in the fun?" "My daughter's marriage, of course I want to join in the fun." Lin Baohe's expression suddenly became serious. "Yulan, Chu Xia is my own daughter, you know best if I love her, but this time, we can't let Chu Xia take his own way. Head Zhou is sincere to Chu Xia. I can see this, so let's not think that marrying him is wronging the child. Said, is the best home. In the future, you should pay attention to his attitude. He is such a big leading cotter. You can see how he is at home. It is not good for you if you don't give him face like this." "Xia, in the Zhou family, my father has been holding back these words, and wants to come back and tell you, alas, it is impossible to be as comfortable as being a daughter-in-law and being a daughter-in-law. It is the same reason wherever you are. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind." Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 148. Chapter 144. Did you say that about your daughter? The conditions of the Zhou family are 100 times better than ours, but you can't just be a little daughter-in-law who swallows her anger just because of this early summer. You are Chu Xia's dear father, and even you think that we have made a lot of money and let the Zhou family do everything, so others will not take Chu Xia seriously. Lin Baohe's teaching to her daughter aroused Zhao Yulan's anger, and when Lin Baohe's words fell, she was scolded. "Look at your rush. I didn't say to make Chu Xia swallow her anger. What I said was to let her restrain her temper. As you can see, Chu Xia hardly has a good voice when talking to Captain Zhou. If she really married into the Zhou family how can she do it with such an attitude? It's also..." Feeling that her husband's analysis was reasonable, Zhao Yulan immediately changed her position. "Xia, what your father said is that a man saves face, so he can make any noise at home, and he must not lose face in front of outsiders. This outsider, including me and your father, including his father and mother, no matter whether you can figure it out or not, it is right to listen to your father and mother." "Okay, I'll listen to my parents." In fact, Chu Xia also realized that there was something wrong with her attitude towards Zhou Mikang, so she complied obediently. Although there was an element of reluctance in this marriage, it has to be said that Zhou Mikang respected her family very much. He was able to take the initiative to give her passbook to her parents, which fully demonstrated this point. Thinking of this, she suddenly realized that she didn't know how much money was in the passbook given by Mr. Zhou. "Mom, how much is the gift money given by Mr. Zhou's grandpa?" Speaking of this matter, Zhao Yulan's expression immediately became serious. "Xia, the passbook given by the grandfather of the Zhou family is 3,000 yuan. I discussed it with your father. You can't accept this money. Our family is poor. Returning to the poor, you can't be short-spirited and make your in-laws laugh at you. Besides, your father and I just want you to live a better life, but we never intend to benefit from you. If we take the money, you will not be able to hold your head high in the Zhou family in the future. So, no matter what they say, the money. We still can't take it. When we marry a daughter-in-law, the family with good conditions only gives a gift of 600 yuan, plus a bicycle, a watch, and a sewing machine. The total adds up to 1,000 yuan. Mother and your father are evaluating, if they follow this standard. The Zhou family must think that we are too petty and really can't do it, so they only accept the 2,000 yuan from the head of the group, and they will have a grandson in the future. No one can say anything about Hua's little grandson. It's really long-term thinking, This horoscope has just been written off. She even thought of her little grandson, and Chu Xia stared at her mother with black lines. I really don't know what to say. Chu Xia was not surprised by the amount of money given by the Zhou family. Because at that time, Mr. Zhou mentioned to let her parents go back to their hometown to build a decent house. In terms of current prices, the materials used to build 4 houses in the countryside are almost 2,000 yuan, and the materials used are better. You have to be in the early 3,000. As for the more than 2,000 that Zhou Mikang gave, in the eyes of the Zhou family, it was for the son-in-law to honor his father-in-law and his mother-in-law, and it had nothing to do with gift money. Therefore, what Mr. Zhou gave was just enough money to build a good house. However, even if the Zhou family forced Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe to accept the money, it was impossible for the couple to really make a fuss about building a house. Given their personalities, they couldn't do such a thing. Actually speaking, the gift money given by the Zhou family is not too outrageous. In terms of the conditions of the Zhou family, no matter how little they give, they will feel that they can't afford it. Many. After all, marrying her and passing through the door made her parents have a miserable life, and the faces of the Zhou family were not pretty. The more wealthy this kind of family is, the more he cares about face. Of course, it's not absolute, but based on her observation of Mr. Zhou and Father Zhou, they must belong to this type. She agreed to marry Zhou Mikang just to make her parents' life easier in advance. Thinking of this, Chu Xia said, "Mother, on the conditions of the Zhou family, taking out the money will not affect life, let alone because you and Dad look down on me after taking the money, they are not that kind of people." Lin Baohe's expression became serious. "Xia, if you don't miss the money, you won't miss the money. Your mother and I can't really treat ourselves as dishes. You are still young and don't understand these things. Forget it, don't worry about it, your mother and I know what to do." "Father." Chu Xia still wanted to persuade, but Lin Baohe pulled it back with a smug face. "Xia, there is no need to discuss this matter." "I won't marry without discussion." Chu Xia's stubbornness also came up. "You dare." "I dare father to know soon." "You child," Lin Baohe sighed heavily, and then slapped himself on the face. "It's all my father's incompetence. I used to rely on my wife, but now I rely on my daughter. I'm a waste. Father, if your face is swollen, how will you see people tomorrow?" Hearing what Chu Xia said, Lin Baohe was so frightened that he quickly withdrew his slap on the cheek again. Zhao Yulan, who was originally frowning, couldn't help but burst out laughing when she saw Lin Baohe's expression of wanting to slap her but not daring to slap her. Xiang Chuxia's eyes were full of relief. "Xia, you don't follow your father's stereotypes, mother, I finally feel more at ease." Chu Xia nodded solemnly. "Yes, father is too strict. It doesn't matter if you say Dad is rigid or an antique, anyway, the money can't be accepted. Even if you accept it, your mother and I will send it back later." Chu Xia, who is well aware of her father's temper, knows that his father has become determined after eating the weight. It is estimated that even Zhao Yulan's persuasion will be useless at this moment. She is married to Chief Zhou, and her father and mother are still struggling, so what's going on with her? "Xia, of course father also wants to build a big house. When people ask, they will say that my son-in-law's family paid us to build it. However, father and your mother can't patronize and show off, and they have to think about your future life. If you live, it's okay to give birth to a son, in case it's a girl." At this point, Lin Baohe realized that the girl used to be the most annoying when people said that about her, so he quickly explained, "Of course, father and mother are very content with you, but the Zhou family is different. Most of the rich families are rare grandchildren. These things, we have to take precautions in advance. Xia, this matter is really not as simple as you think. The standard of marriage that my mother would say is the standard for a good family in the countryside to marry a wife. For an ordinary family, it is 200 yuan plus a bicycle, no matter how good the conditions are. Can add a watch. As for the sewing machine, it must be a wealthy household above the middle level. We have surpassed a lot. No matter how the Joe family is doing, we can't be too greedy. Your father and I are still young and we are not afraid of suffering. If you really love your parents, don't worry about it for a while. When living a good life, parents will not refuse. Father, mother, I will definitely work hard, but she wanted to say, but I am willing to marry Joe Mikang because I want you to have a better life ahead of time, but right now. What kind of? The words came to his lips, but he quickly took them back. If she really dared to say that, her parents would be even more worried. At this moment, they still thought she was willing to marry Joe Mikang, and they were already so anxious. If they knew the truth, what would they worry about? However, it is probably impossible to withdraw the marriage. His parents have seen the sincerity of the Joe family, and they are satisfied with this marriage from the bottom of their hearts. Looking for an ordinary family may not be satisfactory everywhere, let alone such a family. Forget it, let her persuade her slowly, and the matter is not in a hurry. At this moment, if her parents insist on not accepting gift money, let's talk about it after they get married. If the Joe family treats her well by then, his parents will also not so determined. In fact, thinking about it, it might not be a good idea to let her parents bring so much money back at this moment. Although Mrs. Lin and Mrs. Lin had severed ties with her family before, if they knew that she married such a family and received such a gift money, the old couple would definitely deny the severing of ties. It is normal for a couple with a lower limit to go out of their way. And that top-notch uncle's mother's family, if they learn that her parents have such a large sum of money, they may have some crooked thoughts. As for the uncle's family, they are not so good. With the personalities of Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, if they really wanted to be besieged by that group of people, the result would definitely not be what she wanted. Thinking of this, she immediately decided not to persuade her parents to accept the gift money. Father, mother, I listen to you, and you can do whatever you say. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe immediately became happy after seeing their daughter. No matter how many things they worried about, at least one thing they were relieved of was that their daughter's personality was really different from before. If you want to put it aside, no one can turn around what your daughter is sure about. Just now, the couple seemed to be resolute in persuading their daughter, but in fact, they were terribly worried. If the daughter insisted on not letting go, they really didn't dare to argue with her. If the daughter was pushed into a hurry, thinking about the time when the daughter ran away from home, they would be terrified to death. Both parties' concerns were settled, and the atmosphere in the room immediately relaxed. After finally getting a chance to be alone with her daughter, Zhao Yulan told her about the situation of her family in a rambunctious manner, and then began to talk about various things that happened in the village during this period, for example, who had a new baby now, who married a daughter-in-law, who married a daughter, and even, who added a few chicks. Lin Baohe sat aside, listened quietly, and added a sentence from time to time. Speaking of the latter, Zhao Yulan slapped her forehead fiercely, and said, "By the way, your sister-in-law Yulan's sister has married into our village." "Who did you marry?" Chu Xia's face was filled with surprise. After only half a month since leaving, such things happened. Tisk tisk. "Marry Chen Guangxin, the second grandson of your grandpa Dagong. The one with the bad legs." "Yes." "Who introduced it?" "Of course it's your uncle. Your Dagong grandpa is not happy, but Guangxin's mother is willing. Guangxin's legs and feet are not good. Generally, girls from good families don't want to marry. You can do it, the bride alone is very satisfied, and she will get married at the end of this month." "So fast?" Chu Xia looked surprised. "This speed is too amazing." Some time ago, Lu Miking was still thinking about marrying her sister to the director of the commune. How did she lower the conditions so quickly? Mom, Do you think this is right? It's not right. It was Lin Baohe who answered. Your grandpa Dagong also thinks something is wrong, but bride Guang wants to marry Guangxin with all her heart. She won't listen to anyone who says it. Father Guangxin can't be her master. Brother Chen is also willing. Zhao Yulan nodded, that's for sure. Your third brother walks with the wind now. This matter. Chu Xia poked his forehead, and then laughed, forget it, don't worry about them, we don't care about this matter, father, mother, I will send it to you as soon as I get this month's allowance go back. You two can buy whatever you want, but you are not allowed to spend it. Okay, Zhao Yulan nodded with a smile, I can spend the money my daughter earns, but my mother has survived, haha. Father has survived too, Lin Baohe said and added, Xia is a daughter, but she is much better than a kid. Daddy cares about daughters. The family was talking happily when there was a sudden knock on the door. Chu Xia hurried over, still giggling, uncle and aunt are so polite now, he opened the door, only to see Luo Hunky and Zhao Qiliang standing at the door. On the way back, I happened to meet Hunky. He knew that my sister-in-law and uncle were coming, so he wanted to come and have a look, Zhao Qiliang said with a smile. Luo Hunky glanced at Chu Xia's face, and quickly moved away. He shouted in a rough voice, second uncle, second aunt. I'm here to see you. Red flag, come in quickly. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe hurried over to meet them and let them into the room. Zhao Yulan looked him up and down, and said, Hunky is stronger than when he was at home. Eat well here, and train every day, so your body will be strong. Luo Hunky smiled innocently, second uncle and aunt, you have come all the way, are you tired? Chu Xia curled her lips quietly, yo, she also knows how to greet people, a lot of progress. It's okay, I don't feel tired from the car, Zhao Yulan said as she took out the scallion pancakes from the cloth bag. Hunky, there isn't much good stuff here. These are the scallion pancakes baked by Chu Xia's grandma when I came here. You know you eat here, so you don't like this, but this is the taste of our family, let's eat one. Luo Hunky replied muffled, took the scallion pancake and stuffed it into his mouth, his eye circles seemed a little red. Chu Xia thought there was something wrong with her eyes, so she quickly rubbed her eyes and looked over, not only was she a little red now, but there seemed to be a hint of water in her eyes. A scallion pancake moved to tears. Luo Hunky, if you really want to eat, ask my mother to give you 2 more, Chu Xia said. Luo Hunky glared at Chu Xia, I miss my mother, this cake tastes the same as the cake baked by my mother. Oh, do you miss fat aunt? Chu Xia laughed narrowly, it's not easy to handle, you'll only be eligible to visit relatives after a year, and it's only been about 3 months, and you have to wait another 9 years. It's been a month, hey, you've been through a lot. Don't worry, let alone 1 year, I can survive 2 years, Luo Hunky said and looked at Chu Xia, Lin Chuxia, even in front of my second uncle and aunt, I will still say you. Since you signed up to be a soldier, you have to plan to leave your parents for a long time. It's only been half a month, and you couldn't bear to recruit your second uncle and aunt. In the future, you plan to let them live here to take care of you? Even if you are willing, the army will not allow it. This time, because you are a recruit, you can make an exception. It is estimated that next time, you will be able to pack up and go home. After Luo Hunky finished speaking, Lin Baohe couldn't help laughing, the army trains people. Before, Hunky wouldn't say such things. Second uncle, I feel sorry for you, and second aunt. If she is driven home, you guys are sorry. Luo Hunky sighed and stopped talking. Hunky, if you have the heart, uncle and aunt will know your love. Zhao Yulan lovingly stroked his short hair stubble, but Hunky, you have too much prejudice against Chuxia, we are here this time, not her, let us come. Chu Xia interrupted Zhao Yulan, mother, don't explain, talking to him about this is simply playing the piano to a cow. You. Luo Hunky was too angry to speak. This kid loves to bully Hunky, Zhao Yulan slapped Chu Xia's shoulder symbolically, and looked at Luo Hunky with a smile. Hunky, your uncle and I will stay for 2 more days before we go back. If you bring it back, take it. And, Luo Hunky blushed and twitched. He wanted to ask about Zhong Hongying's recent situation. Luo Hunky glanced at Chu Xia, rare. I think early summer is pleasing to the eye. The kid runs every day now, saying that he wants to participate in the summer conscription. He also wants to join the army. Why didn't she tell me? Luo Hunky frowned suddenly. Second aunt, who did you hear from? Everyone in the village knows about it? She. Luo Hunky blushed anxiously. I received her letter yesterday, and she didn't mention a word about it. Hunky, wouldn't it be better if she came to serve as a soldier and be with you? Zhao Yulan asked wonderingly. Second aunt, if she also becomes a soldier, she definitely won't be able to follow me. Luo Hunky smiled sheepishly. She wants to follow me because she wants me to be a soldier. You know all about it. Chu Xia couldn't help dragging out the tone. I know. But I just miss her. Well, this sentence is equivalent to saying, I know, but I just want to be cheated by her. What can she say? Chu Xia looked Luo Hunky up and down, and suddenly found that after several months of training in the army, this guy seemed to look better than before. He looked energetic. It looks good. Luo Hunky, when you are resting, go and take a photo, wearing a military uniform. Send it to Zhong Hongying, maybe she will make up her mind not to marry you. Luo Hunky just wanted to refute Chu Xia. However, Zhao Yulan also nodded her head in agreement. That's right, what Chu Xia said is also an idea. As long as the red flags look like they are now, it's rare for anyone to see them. Boom boom. The door knocked again. Zhao Qiliang, who was closest to the door, went to open the door, and it was Zhou Mikang. Leader, reflexively, Zhao Qiliang stood at attention and saluted. Zhou Mikang smiled. Privately, there is no need for so many etiquettes. Then, he stepped into the room, and saw Luo Hunky standing there. He was obviously stunned for a moment. Before he could speak, Luo Hunky's legs boomed together, staring at Zhou Mikang with a stiff face. Leader. And Zhou Mikang nodded at him, looked at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. Father, mother, I transferred a room for you, with 3 beds, you can move there later. Father. Mother. Luo Hunky stood there stiffly, looking at Zhou Mikang with puzzled eyes. Why would he call his second uncle and aunt father and mother? Could it be that he recognized his second uncle and aunt as godfather and mother? But when did that happen? Why didn't he know? I share a bed with Chu Xia, just make do with it. It's not that there is no room, it just so happens that the 3-person room has been vacated, or you can move there now, Zhou Mikang said while looking at Zhao Qiliang. Go over and tell your parents, so that they won't be able to find it when the time comes. It's 25. Okay, Zhao Qiliang replied and walked out. After thinking about it, he turned around and pulled Luo Hunky. Aren't you going to see my parents? Luo Hunky, who was in a mess in his head, opened his mouth halfway, and was forcibly dragged to the next room by Zhao Qiliang. Here, Zhou Mikang has already helped pack up the things, picked them up and walked to the triple room. I'll come. Lin Baohe, who didn't grab a piece of luggage, was anxious to grab something to carry. Zhou Mikang leaned over. Father, how can I let you carry something? Ha ha. Ha ha. Both Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan laughed contentedly. Chu Xia secretly rolled her eyes. She was pretty good at showing, this man was definitely not alone in front of her and in front of her parents, in front of Zhou's family and in front of her, he was not alone. However, compared with the Zhou family, is she still happy? Thinking of this, the corner of someone's mouth curled up. Over there, Zhao Qiliang told Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan that after Chuxia's family moved to 205, Zhao Yushan laughed, Yulan has survived, and this little head Zhou is hard to find even with a lantern. With Luo Hunky here, he didn't elaborate on anything else. If he didn't say anything, it doesn't mean that Luo Hunky won't ask, why does Captain Joe call his second uncle and second aunt his father and mother? Chu Xia confessed this matter, and he didn't want other people in the army to know. Whether this other people included Luo Hunky, Zhao Qiliang was not sure. Concerned about the little cousin, Zhao Qiliang naturally did not dare to offend the little cousin carelessly. In line with the principle of preferring to believe what is true and not to believe what is not, Qiliang Tongzi fooled Luo Hunky without blushing. You got it wrong, you must be nervous, you got it wrong. Impossible. Luo Hunky shook his head, I clearly heard it. You definitely saw that the leader was too nervous and had auditory hallucinations. Seeing Luo Hunky scratching his head and looking back, Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan were both black and white. At the same time, they were also relieved. It turned out that their son's honesty will be divided in front of whom. At this moment, they are finally at ease. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 149. I have something to do in the past 2 days, so I will update it once. After the work is over, there will be more updates. Tomorrow, I will update it in the morning. In front of his sister's future in-laws, Luo Hunky felt a little uncomfortable, sat with his butt hanging on the chair for 2 minutes, then got up and said goodbye. Sending Luo Hunky out of the door, Zhao Qiliang came back again. It was rare for his parents to come all the way, and they couldn't accompany him during the day. At this moment, he wanted to stay longer. Qiliang, can you go back later? Li Aiwan was very reluctant to part with her son after being together with her son so rarely, so she asked wistfully. Of course, Zhao Qiliang also wanted to stay overnight like Chu Xia, but he was the class monitor, and he really didn't want to do anything that would make people say goodbye, so he looked at Li Aiwan apologetically. Mom, I have to go back at 10 o'clock. Zhao Yushan glared at his wife. Don't hold back the child. If you want to hug your grandson sooner, put away those thoughts that hold you back. Your father knows how good I am. Li Aiwan glared at Zhao Yushan, then looked at her son with a smile. Mother didn't ask you to stay overnight, but just wanted you to stay a little longer. Pain the child, I will be content. Zhao Yushan snorted coldly. Can a boy be the same as a girl? You see, I am waiting for Kiwi and Qiliang. Li Aiwan waved her hands impatiently. Okay, I was wrong, I wronged you, and finally chatted with my son. Can't you just throw your shelf aside? It doesn't matter whether the boy and the girl are the same. Anyway, there is no comparison between you and Bao He. Look at Bao He. Usually he is silent, but when it comes to the daughters matter. Dare to say anything, if I want you, do you dare? What did my little uncle say? Zhao Qiliang asked curiously. Your little uncle, tisk tisk. Li Aiwan described Lin Bao He's behavior in the Zhou family in detail, and Zhao Qiliang was so shocked that he didn't close his mouth for a long time. After recovering, he slapped his head. Father, mother, you say. Didn't my little uncle understand what kind of family Chu Xia was going to marry, and how high an official Zhou's father was? Your little uncle is not stupid. How could he not know how big an official Chu Xia is? He changed from a tiger to a sheep when he talked to Zhou's family after he made the conditions for his daughter. Li Aiwan said and glanced sideways. He glanced at Zhao Yushan. Your father and your little uncle just had an antipathy, so they knew that they would pretend to be tigers with me at home. Once they went out, they would become sheep. In this way, your sister-in-law is actually a discerning person. That's right. My sister is such a smart person. How can she have no eyesight? Although he was not happy to be scolded by his wife, he heard his wife praise Zhao Yulan. The cloud on Zhao Yushan's face dissipated immediately. Li Aiwan looked at Zhao Yushan and laughed. I know, if Kiwi is the one who gets married this time, you must protect her like Bao He, and you are also a good father. My daughter. Can I not protect you? Zhao Yushan sighed quietly, but I admit that I don't have the guts of Bao He. He can sacrifice everything for Chu Xia. I can't. I always think more about things. Think about it, you are right, I am not as good as Bao He. Li Aiwan had a funny face on her face. I'm complimenting you, and you've become humble. In fact, the beauty in your heart is bubbling, right? Afterwards, her face darkened. When will our Kiwi meet the door-to-door relationship? I will also enough. Hey, speaking of Zhao Kiwi's marriage, Zhao Yushan's face darkened. The truth about Zhao Yuan Bao's sacrifice, Zhao Qiliang only told his sister, Zhao Yushan, and Li Aiwan didn't know about it, so when they saw their daughter holding a book and chewing on it, they thought that the knot in their daughter's heart had not been untied, and that she couldn't be a soldier, so they decided it is closer to Zhao Yuan Bao to take the military academy exam. Although it is a good thing to be motivated, as long as they think that their daughter is doing this for Zhao Yuan Bao, they will panic. According to their daughter's temper, if they have Zhao Yuan Bao in their hearts, they probably won't accept other people. But if the delays continue year after year, it will be difficult to find another suitable one. In case the daughter doesn't look for it all the time, it's okay when she is young, but what should I do when she is old? Seeing his father's mood drop in an instant, Zhao Qiliang felt very contradictory. So tell them the truth, for fear that if they get away with it, don't tell them, and the old couple will always worry about their sister. Even if my younger sister told them that she was going to university for better development, the old couple probably wouldn't believe it. Qiliang, Zhao Yulan sniffed, if your sister doesn't get married, you'll have to take good care of her for the rest of your life. Alas, you said Yuan Bao at this point. She choked up and couldn't continue. Zhao Yushan was puffing on his cigarette, his face was so gloomy that he was about to drip water. Father, mother, you don't need to worry so much. In fact, helplessly, Zhao Qiliang told his parents the truth about Zhao Yuan Bao's sacrifice. Between his parents and a friend who betrayed his sister, his choice was of course his parents. Qiliang, is what you said true? Yeah, Qiliang, you didn't say that on purpose to comfort us, did you? Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan really couldn't accept that naive and honest child, that honest child who grew up with their daughter and doted on their daughter as a treasure, would be a philandering carrot. Father, mother, do you think I'm that kind of person? What's more, the ingot is gone. If I slander him, am I still a person? Kiwi already knew about this. If you don't believe me, you can ask her. No need, no need. Zhao Yulan waved her hands again and again. Mother, believe what you said. Let's stop this matter here. Yuan Bao's father and Yuan Bao's mother are not easy. No matter how wrong he does, people are gone. Just stop adding fuel to the fire. Zhao Yushan also said with a serious expression, well, your mother is right, Qiliang. Let us stop this matter, including Xiaoxian and Chuxia, don't tell. I see. Zhao Yushan suddenly felt guilty for his original entanglement. How could he think so narrowly of his parents? If he had told them earlier, they wouldn't have had to worry about it for so long. Alas, it seems that he still doesn't know his parents well enough. Knowing that their daughter would not stick to Zhao Yuan Bao's life, Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan immediately relaxed, chatted with their son, and went to room 205 together. As soon as she entered the room, she found that only Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were left in the room, so Li Aiwan asked doubtfully, Chu Xia went back. Leader Xiao Zhou just left, and we asked Chu Xia to see him off, Zhao Yulan said while moving a seat for her elder brother and sister-in-law. Brother, sister-in-law, we discussed it at that time, the gift money given by the Zhou family is too high, we can't accept. This meeting is to let Chu Xia and Captain Xiao Zhou fully trust each other. Yulan, Baohe, you did the right thing. Zhao Yushan breathed a sigh of relief. I've always been worried about you holding that money. Now, I'm finally relieved. There's so much money, it's burning your hands. Brother, you are obviously worried. Why didn't you tell me? Zhao Yulan cast a glance at her elder brother. You are still so heretic with me? Baohi and I let you come with your sister-in-law, just to treat you as the closest. Why don't you come here, play tricks with me? Didn't brother play tricks on you? Didn't I have no time to discuss with you? Zhao Yushan said with a look of injustice. How much cash did the Zhou family give? Zhao Qiliang asked curiously. Add up, there are more than 5,000. Ah, Zhao Qiliang smacked his tongue. This is really crazy. Then he said, however, considering the Zhou family's family background, it is reasonable to give these. The Zhou family belongs to the Zhou family. Your little uncle and I can't let people say that we are selling a girl. Besides, if we really take the money back, if the big gang in the family find out, we probably won't be able to live. Pass. Yes, there is no impenetrable wall in the world. Don't be afraid of 10,000, just in case. Lin Bao he knew very well what kind of people his parents were, so he didn't hide it now, and directly expressed his worries. Let's put it this way, even if there is an impenetrable wall in this world, it's not easy to handle. If you ask how much the Zhou family gave as a bride price, tell the truth and let it out. If you don't tell the truth, then you feel sorry for the Zhou family, don't you? Well, that's really the case. Zhao Yulan nodded. So, after thinking about it, we can't ask for this money. That's right. Li Aiwan slapped her son on the head as she said, Qiliang, you have to work harder to save money. The gift money we give to Zioxian can't be too shabby. Mom, why are you talking about me, and you're pulling on me again? Who told you to get married earlier than your sister? Li Aiwan glared at him. When the time comes, your children will be called Chu Xia's children, brother and sister. It's shameful. Where is the logic behind this? Zhao Qiliang looked at his old lady with black lines, and really didn't know what to say. A few people were talking lively, and Chu Xia came back leisurely. Looking at Chu Xia's face, Zhao Yulan said nervously, did you say that? Say it. Chu Xia nodded. What did Captain Xiao Zhou say? At this moment, all 10 eyes were fixed on Chu Xia. Chu Xia shuddered, don't look at me like that, you're panicking. Bear boy, Zhao Yulan was so angry that she slapped her daughter. We are in such a hurry, you still picked up the handle, tell me what's going on, and I'll slap you to death. Mother, you shot me to death, Chu Xia pouted, are you willing? This brat. Zhao Yulan looked at Zhao Yushan and his wife helplessly. How can I feel at ease as someone's daughter-in-law with such a temper? Don't worry, you still agree to let me marry. Don't be a fool. Even Lin Bao he couldn't hold his breath anymore. Okay, I reported the results of our discussion to Captain Zhou in detail. As a result, after listening to him, he gave me a cold look and left. You didn't say anything. Yes, I didn't say anything. Zhao Yulan looked at her husband. Tell me, what does he mean? Did he agree or not? Do you think we are too wordy and unhappy? Oh, if you are not satisfied now, you will treat us Chuxia later. Can it be good? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 150. This. For a while, Lin Bao he couldn't make up his mind. He looked at his uncle and sister-in-law hesitantly. Brother, sister-in-law, what do you think Captain Zhou means? This Zhao Yushan said this for a while, but there was no reason for this, so he looked at his son, Qiliang, you are familiar with Captain Zhou, tell me, what does he mean by this? This. Zhao Qiliang scratched his head and started a lawsuit. His understanding of Captain Zhou was limited to his heroic deeds. How could he know such things? At this moment, the crowd ignored Chu Xia. It seems most normal to feel that she doesn't know what it means. To put it bluntly, he was still treating her like a child. Everyone didn't ask, Chu Xia just sat on the sidelines and watched the 5 people stare at each other, with a faint smile in their eyes. Li Aiwan was the first to notice something wrong with Chu Xia, so she blinked her eyes in doubt. Xia, did Captain Xiao Zhou say something else? No. Then why are you so happy? Seeing you worrying makes me happy. Li Aiwan, is there such a person? Are they worried about her? Father, mother, uncle, aunt, brother Chu Xia called out one by one, and then said, you will know what he thinks the day after tomorrow, so let's stop trying to figure out the holy will here. This kid, why are you talking? Zhao Yulan hurried to the door to listen with her ear pressed to the door, then quietly opened the door and peered out for a while, before letting out a long sigh of relief. Li Aiwan also warned with a serious face, Xia, you can't say such things in the future, if someone sues you. I guess your parents-in-law's family. I don't have a good impression of you either. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yushan didn't say anything, but they knew it just by looking at their eyes. They were also terribly worried about Chu Xia's words. In this age, isn't it just a matter of trying to figure out the holy will? Chu Xia assured the elders with a wry smile, okay, I will pay attention to it in the future. Xia, you have to take this matter seriously. From now on, you really can't talk like that. Auntie, I know I'm wrong. Summer. Seeing how impatient you are, you just don't understand how serious this matter is, Uncle will tell you. Hey, people of this age are scared out of their wits. Chu Xia pretended to be listening carefully, but secretly slandered the elders for making a fuss. If she hadn't learned the consequences of someone saying the wrong thing with her own ears later, she would never have understood, such a precious night. Why the elders have been giving her education lessons. Considering that he was going to get engaged the next day, he returned to the team early in the morning to participate in morning exercises. Seeing her, Zhengmei's eyes flashed with admiration, waiting for her to finish running. Asked in a low voice, I granted you a day and a half of leave, why don't you spend more time with your parents? I'm afraid that if I ask for leave tomorrow, it will be difficult for you, Captain Chu Xia answered truthfully. Thanks. I should thank the captain. Hey. Hey. The words behind Chu Xia. He was startled back by Lu Meijun's exclamation. Stop, what are you doing, at this time? Zhengmei was already frowning and walked towards the wrestling 2 people, and Chu Xia hurriedly followed. What's the matter? She asked Luo Xiaoxian in a low voice. Those who wrestled into a ball were Sun Shangmei from Class 3 and Rao Shui from Class 5. Obviously, Rao Shui was at a disadvantage, being beaten by Sun Shangmei completely helpless. Rao Shui said bad things about our class, and Sun Shangmei heard it. Seeing Sun Shangmei punch Rao Shui on the cheek, Luo Xiaoxian rubbed her face reflexively. At this time, Rao Shui and Sun Shangmei had already been pulled away by Zhengmei. What are you 2 planning to do? Do you think I'm dead because I have a good temper? Ah! You dare to do this in front of me? If I'm not around, what else can you do? Zhengmei asked with a stern face. She insulted the 3rd class, Sun Shangmei pointed at Rao Shui angrily, looking at that posture, if Zhengmei hadn't stood between the 2 of them, she would have rushed over to continue beating her. I'm just telling the truth, Rao Shui's face was swollen, I just think the captain is partial to Class 3. If you really think so, you can confront me and make irresponsible remarks in front of your teammates. Do you think you are doing the right thing? Zhengmei said and looked at Sun Shangmei. You 2, fists can solve all problems. Is there something wrong? You can't communicate well, your fists are meant to be swung at the enemy, not at your comrades in arms. Sun Shangmei strangled her neck, but said nothing. One person writes a 1,000-word inspection and hand it in before dinner. Hearing that Zhengmei asked to do the review, Sun Shangmei became anxious. Captain, can I submit the review tomorrow? My song hasn't been practiced yet. Can you eat again tomorrow? Sun Changmei suddenly languished. She can have dinner tomorrow, but in that case, she probably won't have the strength to participate in the performance. Jingjie, be promising. Jingjie, don't let anyone's affairs affect official affairs. Jingjie, don't make me look down on you. Jingjie, cheer up and go to class. With a long sigh of relief, Jingjie, who had muttered to himself in front of the mirror for a long time, picked up the book and strode towards the door. When he put his hand on the doorknob, he was discouraged again, and went back to the mirror again to give himself a sigh of relief. Cheer up. If his mother sees him now, she will be furious. He vigorously pulled at the stubble of his hair, which was so short that he could barely get it, took a deep breath, once again, raised his head and walked forward, and then returned to the "It's so worthless." When the raised slap was about to slap his face, he paused embarrassingly. If there were red marks on the slap, how would he see people? Alas, I had been brewing emotions for a long time yesterday, why now, I'm scared all of a sudden? Is it possible that the mind is really different, and the result is also different? It's all his mother's fault, otherwise, how could he have such a thought? That beautiful little face suddenly appeared in my mind, especially those big black eyes, so clear, it seemed to be able to see into the bottom of people's hearts at once, or, he kept going home and praised her, it was simply subconscious behavior? Alas, he is going to be engaged tomorrow, so what's the matter if he has such an idea again? Deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. Just when he felt his heartbeat returning to normal, the door was pushed open, and ZenMaleLead stood at the door with a smile. Director Jing, all the team members are waiting for you to go to class. Immediately, Jingjie picked up the book and walked out in a panic. What's wrong with you? ZenMaleLead looked at him suspiciously. Your face is not right, do you feel uncomfortable? No. Jingjie shook his head, and ran to the classroom as if fleeing. What the hell are you doing? ZenMaleLead muttered a few words, then walked to Zhou Mikang's office. Master Zhou, we are engaged tomorrow, why are you still sitting here? Where should I sit if I don't sit here? Zhou Mikang threw a notebook to her. It's just right, take this to Han Liang for me, and tell him that it can be implemented according to his plan. Brother, I didn't come here to run errands for you. Although she muttered dissatisfiedly, ZenMaleLead still picked up her notebook and went to the next door. She was usually too casual, but this time she pushed the door open as before. In the room, the two people who hugged each other quickly separated. I'm sorry, ZenMaleLead blushed and quickly withdrew. Seeing that the notebook was still in her hand, she hesitated and didn't know what to do. What do you want from me? Zhou Hanliang appeared at the door. This. ZenMaleLead quickly handed him the notebook. The leader asked me to give it to you, and he said that it can be implemented according to this. After finishing speaking, she ran back to Zhou Mikang's office as if fleeing. Zhou Mikang glanced at her suspiciously, then continued to lower his head and busy himself with his own affairs. Until the official affairs in his hands were almost handled, and found that ZenMaleLead was still sitting there with her head bowed and not saying a word, Zhou Mikang also realized that something was wrong. What happened? It's nothing. ZenMaleLead's voice was limp, as if she had been greatly shocked. If you have something to say, don't pretend to be deep. Big brother. ZenMaleLead bit her lip and hesitated for a while, then sighed. Big brother, have you completely forgotten about Yamating? Zhou Mikang frowned instantly. What are you talking about? I just saw Director Zhou hugging a woman tightly. He only broke up for a few days. How could he start a new relationship so quickly? Holding together is a lover. Zhou Mikang stared at her expressionlessly. You didn't know who it was before you made a conclusion. Brother, do you know who that woman is? ZenMaleLead's tone suddenly relaxed, and she stared at Zhou Mikang brightly. That's Han Liang's younger sister, Zhou Haniang. My sister? Yes. Then why are you hugging? Isn't it normal for you to hug your brother when you are wronged? I don't have a brother. You can imagine you have a brother. It's good to have a brother. ZenMaleLead sighed quietly. If I had a brother, Guanji wouldn't dare to bully me like that. Do you think I didn't help you out? Johan Liang glanced at her lightly. Haven't you let go yet? Didn't you let go of it for 5 years? ZenMaleLead smiled bitterly. Brother, I'm not exposing you. I don't know what's wrong with me. When I see a man change his mind, I feel very uncomfortable, and I immediately think of it myself. Or, is it really that you can't get it, so you will always worry about it? Don't talk about this during working hours. Today is the anniversary performance. Are you free? It's so merciless. ZenMaleLead wiped the corners of her eyes and left. When she went out, Zhou Mikang's eyes showed a trace of worry. Tonight, that's all, she has to go through this hurdle, and it might be good for her to see. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 151. Warmly celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Army. Warmly welcome the chiefs to the military region. There are big red banners hanging on every road in the military area. The 10th anniversary is not a short journey. All the officers and soldiers stopped training in the afternoon, and the empty field where there was no sound except for the call sign in the past became lively. In the entire military region, in addition to the 100 members of the women's medical team, there is also a company of female soldiers. Due to the nature of girls, they are located one east and one west. The two teams that usually have little contact with each other have worked hard on this day. I want to be the most dazzling splendor. At this time, Chu Xia was tutoring Sun Shangmei to sing, and Luo Xiaoqing and Lu Meijun, who were listening, had various expressions, eyes and mouths of various and even their legs were developing towards O-type legs. As the instructor, Luo Xiaoqing felt the deepest. She had taught Sun Shangmei for nearly half a month. As a result, except for the first sentence, the others were basically out of tune. But now, in less than half an hour, Sun Shangmei can actually get everything in the right tune. When Sun Shangmei sang the whole song again and again, Luo Xiaoqing finally put away the O gesture and said, Chu Xia, why didn't I know you still have this ability? Chu Xia looked embarrassed. There's nothing to mention about my low-level skills. Cut. Luo Xiaoqing rolled her eyes, and then said with a puzzled expression, Chu Xia, I really wonder if you are still the Chu Xia I know. In my impression, you will make something and wish the world would announce it. How could you hide it? I said, you are also a fake Lin Chuxia, right? Chu Xia's heart skipped a beat. But the smile on his face was calm and breezy. What kind of fake way? Could it be that there is another Lin Chuxia who looks exactly like me in this world? Was I transferred? Hey! Luo Xiaoqing sneered, I'm just joking. People can't transfer you if they want to transfer, and they won't get any benefits, he. After hesitating for a moment, Sun Shangmei looked at Chuxia gloomily. Lin Chuxia, do you really hate me? I can't talk about it, but I don't like that you always put a big hat on people for everything. If you didn't speak for me this time, I wouldn't be able to teach you. Chu Xia confessed her true thoughts. She did so because of Sun Shangmei's protection of her. Rao Shui bad-mouthed Chu Xia with her team members. Just happened to be heard by Sun Shangmei, and as a result, she rushed up to argue without saying a word, and the two of them started fighting after coming and going. And then, Sun Shangmei just said that Rao Shui said bad things about the third class. It didn't say that Rao Shui was only targeting Chu Xia. The truth of this matter was told to Chu Xia by Zhang Xiadi and Shui Qingqin, who were assigned to the fourth class. The actual situation is that Rao Shui is the youngest of the fourth class. Because she dragged the fourth class back, the monitor of the fourth class said a few words, but she refused to be convinced. Said that Lin Chuxia from the third class was even worse, pretending to be weak and sympathetic all day long. If it wasn't for the captain's partiality, he would have been sent home long ago. Then he pretended to be mysterious and lowered his voice. Said that she saw Lin Chuxia walking hand in hand with a male soldier, and concluded that Lin Chuxia came to the army not to be a soldier at all, but to seduce a male soldier. When she said this, Sun Shangmei happened to hear it, and then, what Chuxia saw at that time happened. I didn't put a big hat on it. I really think we want to win glory for the Hunky Commune. If Rao Shui hadn't mentioned Lin Chuxia from the Hunky Commune when she was talking, I wouldn't have rushed over to argue with her, let alone beat her up. At this time, Sun Shangmei still said that Chuxia had a little more appreciation for her. Chuxia knew how much she valued participating in this group concert. I believe that at this time, she helped her solve such a big problem, and she should be grateful to her in her heart, but she still said this at this time, which shows that she is really not pretending, but just thinks so. Why do you have such deep feelings for Hunky Commune? Chuxia asked suspiciously. She felt that it was impossible for Sun Shangmei to have such a sense of belonging to Hunky Commune for no reason. Even if people of this age have a sense of belonging to the region, it will not be so serious. If it weren't for the leaders of the Hunky Commune, I would never have come out to serve as a soldier. Sun Shangmei sighed slightly. I knew a long time ago that you all hate me, but in my heart, the Hunky Commune is my reborn parents. When I was 12 years old, my father dug a hole in the ice to catch fish and almost drowned. Although he was rescued later, his legs were useless. I have a younger brother who is 9 and 7 years old. At that time, my mother and I felt that the sky was about to fall. After knowing the situation of our family, it was Director Shui who took my father to the county hospital to see a doctor, and gave our family a certain amount of relief money every month. Later, when I was able to earn centimeters, I thought that I would no longer take advantage of the public, but Director Shui said that my family was in a special situation and told me not to be burdened by thinking. After leaving, the commune has been taking care of our family. I didn't expect. Speaking of this, Sun Shangmei's eyes turned red. I didn't expect Director Shui to have an accident before I left. At that time, I thought I would definitely not be able to join the army. However, this kind of opportunity is the most rare opportunity to improve my family's situation. I mustered up the courage to go to the commune, but the leaders told me, let me rest assured that helping my family is the commune's decision, and it will not change because of Director Shui's departure. You said, if you were me, would you be grateful to the Hunky Commune? The Director Shui you are talking about is Shui Ligang, right? Yes. Sun Shangmei nodded, and looked at Chuxia seriously. I don't care what others say about him, anyway, he is a good leader in my heart. You can't be. Luo Xiaoxian looked her up and down. You can't just say that because you know about Chuxia's affair with him. Breakdown. Sun Shangmei looked at Chuxia wonderingly. Have you ever had a fight with Director Shui? Chuxia waved his hand. It's all over, there is nothing to mention. You can practice for a while, just use the method I taught you, and if you feel confident, go to Monitor Chiao to take the exam. You won't teach me anymore. Sun Shangmei grabbed Chuxia's sleeves. I don't know what to do if you're not here, Chuxia, since we are hunky and we are in the same place, please help me, okay? It is good. I've taught you all the methods. It doesn't matter if I'm here or not. I want to go and see my parents. I can't leave when the group rehearses. Sun Shangmei's eyes showed a hint of envy. Your parents are so kind to you. That's right, Chuxia was raised by Uncle Baohe and Aunt Yulan since she was a child, and she was so jealous of me. Luo Xiaoxian said while waving at Chuxia. Go, I'll practice here with her. Well, let's do good deeds to the end, and send the Buddha to the west. This is a metaphor. Chuxia waved her hands with black hair and went to the guest house, but it was empty. There was no one in the room. She looked around and everything was neatly placed. It means that the group is just going out. Went for a stroll. After a little hesitation, she went to Zhou Mikang's office. After much deliberation, he might be the only one who knew the whereabouts of her parents. Oh, it's too inconvenient without a mobile phone. The office of the group leader, Tongzi, was also empty. Lin Chuxia. As soon as she went out, she happened to meet Johan Liang. Do you know where my parents and my uncle and aunt went? I know. Johan Liang smiled and blinked at her. Don't you know? If I knew, why would I ask you? Of course, I thought so in my heart, but I couldn't say it out of my mouth. Chu Xia smiled. I don't know, please tell me, Director Joe. You're still polite to me. Johan Liang shook his head amusedly. Could it be that it's because I'm getting married and I think I'm an adult, or in other words, I'm going to be my sister-in-law, so I put up an adult spectrum? Forget it, I won't ask any more. Chu Xia was so angry that she shook her hands and left. After walking for a while, she found that Johan Liang hadn't caught up and didn't call her back. She was thinking about her parents, so she had to go back, smiling helplessly. Instructor, please let me know. Johan Liang raised his eyebrows proudly. That's pretty much the same. Let me tell you, the head of the group sent people to take them around, and arranged for them a front seat for the performance at night. The head asked me to tell you, you don't have to worry about it, you can go to them after the performance. Where did the head go? Miss him. Johan Liang smiled narrowly. I guess the leader will be happy knowing that you miss him so much. Okay, I'm talking too much. Chu Xia lifted her feet and left. Now that she knew that her parents were well arranged, she had nothing to worry about, so she didn't bother to grind her teeth with Han Liangzi here. Father Xia, Mother Xia, Uncle Xia, and Xia spent half an afternoon in the entire military region, and when they returned to the guest house, they were still full of enthusiasm, and they seemed to be the little soldiers who took them around for half an afternoon. Zhaiza was speechless. With this physical strength, he could definitely compete with them. I can see our Xia singing on stage tonight. I think our Xia must be the prettiest. Zhao Yulan clicked her tongue, her eyes narrowed. I'm just worried that the child won't be able to sing well at that time. Lin Baohe sighed. You forgot, Xia's singing is out of tune, so she never sings in front of people, not even in front of Xiaoxian. You say now. That's right, how did I forget about this? Zhao Yulan lost all joy, and worry quickly climbed onto her face. Don't worry about it. If Xia can't sing, the leaders won't let her sing on stage. The head of the group said that she can sing on stage, which means that Xia Ding sings well in our family. Don't worry about it. At the same time, the third class was in chaos. Except for Chuxia Luo Xiaoxian and Lu Meijun, who went out alone to tutor Sun Shangmei, everyone else lay down and vomited for unknown reasons. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 152. One update today, another update tomorrow. Let Nuan rest, and double shifts from the day after tomorrow. Nuan has not been fully present, and double shifts are just to thank everyone for their love, and I look forward to your support, giving Nuan more motivation. The Shangjing military region has 4 military divisions under its jurisdiction. A military division is the closest to the general military region. The A division is under the jurisdiction of the A military division. It was established on May 22, 1967 and is the most powerful. The Army Division is one of the 6 emergency combat divisions of the Central Military Commission. It has made great achievements and has become a leader in large-scale landing exercises every year since its establishment. Division A has the most advanced equipment and is currently one of the most sophisticated equipment divisions. Every time new equipment is developed, it is allocated to Division A first, and then it is the turn of other troops. It is the most fully staffed unit, and all combat units are overstaffed by 10%, ensuring that the combat effectiveness of officers and soldiers will not decrease when they are on vacation, training, and studying. It was precisely because of this that Division A was able to obtain the qualification to build a medical team with the strength of a division. However, even with such specifications, Chiao Wanyan, the commander of the Army Division, never expected that the commander-in-chief would rush over in person. Since receiving the notice, he has felt light every day. Just like a family of several children vying for favor, the 4 military divisions are not exempt. Every time they attend a meeting, the 4 army commanders always fight with each other. It's nothing more than a few extra guns for your family and a few extra cannons for his family. Anyway, no one feels that they are making cheap money. Every time I have to wait until the commander-in-chief gets angry. Only one by one bowed their heads and admitted their mistakes, but when we meet next time. The same scene was repeated again. Similarly, several military regions were established at different times, but only a military region and B military region have emergency combat divisions. There is a difference of 2 months between the establishment of Division of Military Region A and Division of Military Region B. 2 months ago, Division of Military Region B celebrated its 10th anniversary. Only the commanders of the military region and the commanders of the divisions were present. And this time, the 10th anniversary celebration of the division of the sub-military region was notified that the commander-in-chief of the military region will also attend in person. This face is really given to the sky. Do you think Xiao Wanyan cannot be light and flirtatious? Therefore, early in the morning, he rushed to Division A, and after inspecting the various units, it was time for lunch. After the meal, cadres above the battalion level were called together for a meeting to cheer everyone up. When the meeting is over, the commanders of other military divisions have also rushed over, and the commander-in-chief is here. Can they not come? Whether you like it or not, anyway. You have to come and enjoy the face. Old Chiao, you really have a big face. They are all relatives, this treatment, hey. The person who said such a sour word. It was Peng Zhuoqi, the commander of the B Army Division. He also had an emergency combat division, so he could only close the door and celebrate by himself, but when he arrived at Division A, it was such an ostentation, it would be strange if he wasn't sour. This kind of face, we can't compare. That's right, there's no comparison between the two of us. The words of the commanders of the C sub-military region and the D sub-military region are even more sour. They didn't even get the quota for emergency operations, so can they not be more sour? Ha ha ha. Xiao Wanyan smiled triumphantly. In the last exercise, our divisions all won the first place. This one, isn't it even better? When he said this, Peng Zhuoqi was speechless. He also had an emergency force, and they lagged behind Armia in every way. There was really no way to argue about this. He was speechless, which did not mean that the commanders of the C and D sub-military regions were also speechless. If we also have that equipment, it's not certain who will come out on top. Yeah, can this be compared? Looking at the sour faces of the two, Xiao Wanyan also felt that it would be a little unkind to show off any longer. After all, they came to celebrate for them. He glanced at the time and smiled at them. Commander Joe still has more. It will be here in 20 minutes, I will go out to meet you, please help yourself. Joke, are they here for their own convenience? The big leaders came, and they sat in the office to take care of themselves, thinking they were fools or fools. Old Chiao, it's too unkind to be a human being. Peng Zhuoqi snorted coldly, and stood up. You think we are here to see you? If it wasn't for Commander Joe coming over, why would we need to see your flamboyant face? I'm not showing off, I'm telling the truth, Xiao Wanyan said while looking at Su Zhenghong, Zhou Mikang, Zhang Jiaming, the leader of Division A Division B, and Lin Hongjiang, the leader of Division A Division C Division, who had been by his side all the time. Do you think so? Several people agreed in unison. Peng Zhuoqi curled his lips. Old Chiao, you are getting more and more shameless, don't they dare to say that? Ha ha. Xiao Wanyan laughed happily. Old Peng, just be jealous, ha ha ha. Receiving the stern gazes from several other military commanders, Su Zhenghong gently stroked his forehead. Commander-in-chief, Why did you come here? Isn't this putting Master A on the fire? In the future, as long as Master A makes a slight mistake, he will probably be drowned by saliva. Well, Leader Joe, go to our division. I have always reserved the position of division commander for you. Too lazy to talk to Chiao Wanyan, Peng Zhuoqi focused his efforts on Zhou Mikang. Okay, don't have that dream. Chiao Wanyan slapped him heavily on the shoulder. Can you hand over your army commander to Captain Xiao Zhou? If he goes, I will let him go. Then what do you do? I'll be the deputy army commander, let him be the army commander. Peng Zhuoqi looked at Zhou Mikang seriously. Little Commander Zhou, as long as you agree, I will resign immediately and apply to transfer you to the B Army Division as the army commander. Zhou Mikang glanced at him lightly. Do you think I will believe it? A word from a gentleman. Zhou Mikang interrupted him with a wave of his hand. There's no need to whip a horse. It's useless for you to swing the whip. Can you give me a triple jump? Yeah. Peng Zhuoqi smiled embarrassedly. Why did I forget about this? Or else, you start with the teacher first. How can he be as happy as the head of the regiment when he goes to your place? Is your division worth as much as my emergency team? Old Chiao, you can't look down on me. My commander of division is handed over to Commander Xiao Zhou. Do you think it is inferior to your commander? My emergency team is under the jurisdiction of Division A. Captain Xiao Zhou, as long as you agree to the matter of your words, when our commander-in-chief is here, I will be the first to mention this matter to him. I believe that the commander-in-chief also understands your actual situation. As long as you are willing, this matter is definitely a certainty. Don't worry, going to my place will definitely make your development better and happier than here. Prying the corner of the wall to such an extent, you are extremely shameless. Chiao Wanyan looked at Peng Zhuoqi with a stern face. Don't think that you are the only one with a mouth. Seeing the two sub-military commanders fighting fiercely, the corners of Su Zhenghong's mouth twitched. If they knew that the little regiment commander they were talking about was Commander Zhou's own son, how would they feel? In recent years, the relationship between Zhou Mikang and Zhou Jingping has not been good, so naturally he will not announce that he is Zhou Jingping's son, and his family relationship has been set at the SSS level of confidentiality. Including the commanders of the various military divisions, they are not qualified to watch. And the reason why his setting did not arouse suspicion is also very simple. When Zhou Mikang first joined the army, he worked as an undercover agent for a year, and then followed him with a year of special missions. After that, he was transferred to Division A, the 1st Battalion, and later promoted to head of the regiment. Because the above-mentioned resumes are known to all the chiefs, they are not surprised that his file has been kept SSS-level confidential. Of course, if they want to check Zhou Mikang's files, it is also possible, but they need to apply to their superiors, and they can only read them after they get an answer. For no reason, who would go to the trouble of extracting Zhou Mikang's file? Therefore, until now, except for a few people, no one knows that Zhou Mikang is Zhou Jingping's son. It's not that he deliberately kept it secret. You said he couldn't just go out and tell others who he is the son of so-and-so, right? Only Su Zhenghong knew that Zhou Mikang's willingness to come to Division A was entirely for him, or it could be said that it was to thank his wife Zhou Yueping. Zhou Yueping has always loved Zhou Mikang very much. After Xiao Rao's accident, Zhou Yueping helped Zhou Mikang the most. Because of this, after Lin Yangqiu tearfully asked Zhou Mikang not to perform special missions, he chose to be Su Zhenghong's subordinate. And the most direct help he gave Su Zhenghong by becoming Su Zhenghong's subordinate was to establish the position of Division A among the divisions, far ahead of other divisions. But this time, Zhou Jingping was willing to visit Master A in person. A large part of the reason was that Zhou Mikang had never relied on him for his development, and finally broke the ice with his son. He wanted to give his son some motivation. Of course, this motivation is also a double-edged sword. If it develops well, Division A will become an absolute leader. If there is a slight difference, not only Division A will become the target of public criticism, but even Zhou Jinping himself will become the object of everyone's doubts. Or, Zhou Jinping is using this method to prove to his son that he has always put his family in an important position, and he will do some unprincipled things for his family. I hope that after this incident, the relationship between father and son can truly become harmonious. While Su Zhenghong was thinking wildly, the car drove out of Division A base and stopped at the place where it must pass when entering Division A base. When they saw two off-road vehicles approaching from a distance, everyone got out of the car and waited outside. At this time, Zhou Jinping's mood was also agitated. He knew very well that his behavior this time was not appropriate, but it was unstoppable, he just wanted to do it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 153. 2 updates will be resumed tomorrow, and the first update will be delivered at 12 o'clock noon. You can come and see it then. In the medical room, Qiao Ning'ai, Lin Mengran, Chu Xiaojing, Yang Xiali, Yuan Mengmeng, and Qi Jihong sat in a row on hard benches, each with a medicine bottle hanging on their arm, with pained expressions on their faces. Lin Chuxia, Luo Xiaoxian, Sun Shangmei, and Lu Meijun waited beside them. When they saw someone hunched over and couldn't hold on anymore, they quickly helped them to the bathroom. 20 minutes later, the medicine took effect, and the faces of the people who hung the medicine bottles finally looked much better. Zhengmei hurried over, and finally breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that the condition of the people had improved. It's funny to say that the reason why several people vomited and vented was the result of drinking oleander leaves as magnolia leaves and soaking in water. The instigator was Yuan Mengmeng. According to her, her grandma's voice is excellent, which is why she liked to drink magnolia leaves since she was a child. She found an oleander in the yard and picked it as a magnolia. It just so happened that everyone was thirsty at that time, so they didn't refuse the bright-sounding water she specially made. As a result, they all fell down after drinking it for a while. Captain. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I just thought that the group singing is all about the voice, so. Yuan Mengmeng explained aggrievedly. Is this a mistake? This is simply showing merit, isn't it? Zhengmei frowned helplessly. Yuan Mengmeng, you almost killed everyone, do you know that? Yuan Mengmeng bit her lip. The grievance on his face grew stronger. Seeing her appearance, Zhengmei didn't bother to talk to her. Just when Jingzhe came in, he sighed, can they participate in the evening concert? Jingzhe said angrily, you are also a doctor yourself. What do you think? Zhengmei frowned even tighter, the chiefs have already arrived. Commander Peng of the B sub-military region specifically mentioned the Women's Special Forces team. I hope to see the heroic appearance of this team during the military parade in the afternoon. Alas. Hearing what she said, Jingzhe also frowned. You must know that the battle between the B sub-military region and the A sub-military region has not been a day or two. Since Peng Zhuoqi made this request, I believe he will pay attention to this team during the military parade. The lack of 6 people is absolutely obvious. Let the female soldier company over there support you. At a time like this, there are definitely more eyes on the medical team than on other companies. Jingzhe suggested. That's right. Zhengmei slapped her forehead fiercely, why didn't I think of this method? Okay. I'll borrow someone right now, Lin Chuxia, you guys hurry back to rehearse, and solve the problem of the military parade first. As for the program of your class, we will talk about it later. After taking 2 steps, he turned his head and glanced at the patients, looking at Jingzhe. Don't worry, they have nothing to vent. Jingzhe waved his hand. Everyone should practice what they want, a few of them. This time, let's rest with peace of mind. No, how can we rest in peace on such an important day? Yuan Mengmeng was about to pull out the needle in his hand. I'm fine now, I can. If you don't want to die, just unplug it. Jingzhe looked at her coldly. Also, when you unplug it and go out, sign a death non-responsibility statement. Yuan Mengmeng's hand froze in mid-air. Although she had some understanding of the dangers of oleander, she couldn't say it was very clear. Therefore, Jingzhe said so, she had no other choice but to believe it. What about the dead? She dared not take the risk. Alas, if she had known this, she would not have done such thankless things. She asked everyone to drink oleander not Guangyulan water. She really wanted to make everyone's voice clearer, so that it could attract the chief's attention during the performance. Of course, she wasn't stupid enough to hope to attract the attention of the commander-in-chief, but she just hoped that the heads of the division would pay attention to the third squad, and give priority to taking care of it when they were detachments in the future. Originally, all her thoughts were on Yang Xiaoli, but after what happened last time, Yang Xiaoli seemed to be a different person. She was afraid that if she didn't think about it, she would end up in the bitter and tiring team. Be a real healthcare worker. She didn't come to serve as a soldier, she just wanted to use it as a springboard to let her family and herself live a better life in the future. On the playground, it was rare and solemn. Everyone practiced stepping step by step, with consistent movements and uniformity, without the slightest noise. The short team of the third class seemed ridiculous enough in this solemn environment. During the break, some people even suggested that the third class should be eliminated altogether, otherwise, it would affect the beauty of the formation too much. Why, Sun Shangmei, who had always regarded the collective honor as her life, was displeased. She stood up and wanted to shake her fist at the sarcastic female soldier. Chu Xia grabbed her tightly. You don't have a long memory yet? Since when did you use your fist? If you really want to be famous, you don't need to use this method. They are too bullying and merciless, Sun Shangmei said with a look of hatred. If it weren't for your great success, would it have caused today's situation? That's right, it's obviously because of you that the medical team will lose face, and you still have the face to say that others are bullying. Class 3 is too favored. If Captain Zheng hadn't always given them the green light, would such a thing have happened? Habits are like killers, and they are also applicable when used in a collective team. Listening to everyone's chattering, the blue veins on Sun Shangmei's forehead were about to come out. Chu Xia patted her, and looked at the chattering crowd. Don't forget, everyone is a whole. The chief knows that the medical team has a total of 100 students. If 10 of us are missing, do you think the chief will not be able to see it? Anyway, your third class is a standard loser. That's right, every time there is an accident, class 3 is indispensable. The captain is here. Someone yelled, and everyone fell silent. Zhengmeili was followed by 6 strong female soldiers. When she approached her, she glanced around and said, from now on, they will be members of the Women's Special Forces team. Continue training. Half an hour later, the horn sounded and the military parade began. Zhengmeili led the team to the main playground in a neat line. On the parade platform, Zhou Jingping sat in the middle. On both sides were the commanders of the military divisions, and on the far side was Su Zhenghong. Teams of heavily armed troops walked past, and the dust kicked up brought only pride. Even the commanders of the B, C, and D sub-military regions, who had been picking on the thorns, all looked solemn at this time. They had to admit that this team did have something extraordinary. As far as that momentum, that self-confidence, it is definitely not a fake. Seeing the end, Peng Zhou laughed twice. Commander Chiao, I heard that your newly recruited medical team will also participate in the military parade this time, right? Of course. Chiao Wanyan glanced at him. Why, the regular army can't pick any thorns, so you want to pick thorns from these female dolls who have just joined the army. Look at you, Don't you think too much? I'm just asking casually, hee hee. Peng Zhuoqi said so, but his eyes were fixed on the team. Don't pretend, you can't wait to pick out some thorns now, Lao Peng, that's all you can do. Jiao Wanyan shook his head and looked at Zhou Jingping. Commander, the little girls in the medical team can't get enough training. For a month, if Peng Zhuoqi deliberately seeks trouble, you can decide for us. Peng Zhou chirped, am I that kind of person? You are really a villain. I said, Jiao Wanyan, is there something shameful that makes you so nervous? What shameful thing can I have? It's clear that you have a shameful mind, so you can't let go. Don't think I don't know, you are eyeing the batch of weapons assigned to us, Commander, you can't be fooled by him. Okay, okay. Zhou Jingping waved his hands impatiently, be quiet, everyone, this is a military parade, not a vegetable market. The commanders of Division C and Division D looked at each other and opened their mouths one after another. Commander, if they are so unreliable again, share the weapons between us. That's right, we don't mind how much. Shut up, both of you, Zhou Jingping gave the two of them a cold look, go back if you don't want to stay here. In an instant, the stands became quiet. Chu Xia's parents and Chu Xia's uncle and aunt who were staying in the guest house were all curious when they heard the lively call signs in the main playground. But this is the army, they don't know where they should go and where they shouldn't go, the soldiers who accompanied them have already gone back, and they said they are going to participate in some chief's inspection, and there must be none. Now, there is no one around them for the time being, and after staying for a while, the few of them were really itchy, so they made an appointment to go over and have a look quietly from the side. Followed the sound to the playground, looked at the black crowd, increased the size of the tank, and several people's calves were trembling. There are so many people, Li Aiwan was the first to say with emotion. Yeah, how many communes do you have? Zhao Yulan asked curiously. That's for sure. These are members of the 3 regiments. Then our regiment leader Xiao Zhou will be in charge of the 3rd, tisk tisk. Zhao Yushan clicked his mouth proudly, as if, Xiao Zhou the head of the group is the general of his family. When he said this, Lin Baohe became nervous, brother, according to what you said, isn't Captain Xiao Zhou bigger than our commune director? Then there's no need to ask, Zhao Yulan stared at Lin Baohe speechlessly, you have to compare the size of his official with the county magistrate. Then his father is older than his official. Then there's no need to ask. Lin Baohe's legs softened, and Gudong sat on the ground. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 154. One more. Zhao Yulan, who was not very nervous at first, saw Lin Baohe sitting on the ground with a Gudong, and inexplicably felt her calves trembling, so she supported Li Aiwan beside her to stabilize her figure. Zhao Yushan pulled Lin Baohe up, took a long breath, took another long breath, turned around and walked back, let's go back to the guest house, don't make trouble for the children and it's hard to deal with it. Apparently, he's mad too. Ken, what trouble can I cause? Li Aiwan said so, but she unconsciously followed Zhao Yushan, running towards the guest house as if fleeing. Glancing at Lin Baohe who was trying to rub his calf, Zhao Yulan asked uncertainly, how about, let's go back to. Okay, Lin Baohe replied, but he didn't take a step for a long time. He suddenly felt a terrible pain in his knees, and even his thighs hurt. Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan, who walked out of the freshman year, felt that something was wrong. When they turned around, they found that they had lost Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. They didn't follow. Zhao Yushan looked at his wife uncertainly, I heard that they followed, why did they disappear? Li Aiwan hesitated, I just followed you and didn't pay attention. Ah, with a sigh, Zhao Yushan hurried back, but Li Aiwan had no choice but to turn around and go back, what's going on? From a distance, they saw Zhao Yulan and his wife talking to a middle-aged woman, and a young female soldier was standing beside her. You really need to pay attention to this problem. Even if you don't treat it here, you have to go back to your local hospital for an examination. If you delay for a long time, you will be in trouble. When the two approached, they heard the middle-aged woman telling Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan with a serious face. Zhao Yulan stood there with a pale face. She looked wooden. Elder sister, what's going on here? Zhao Yushan asked, looking at the middle-aged woman anxiously, taking a step forward. Who are you to them? I'm his brother-in-law, her own brother, Zhao Yushan said hastily. Oh, according to his symptoms just now, I suspect femoral head necrosis. It is recommended to go to the hospital immediately for examination and further treatment. Is this disease serious? Zhao Yulan asked anxiously after recovering. Can it be cured? The middle-aged woman smiled consolingly. He should be in the primary stage now. After he recovers, there will be no hindrance. However, you can't delay. The longer the disease is delayed, the more troublesome it will be. Will it cost a lot? Zhao Yulan asked again. It doesn't take a lot. This kind of early stage can fully recover by implanting drugs, and you can be discharged from the hospital in about a week. How much longer can we delay? Are you here to visit relatives? The middle-aged woman asked a few people. Zhao Yushan was the first to say, yes, we are here to visit relatives. My son and his daughter are both serving in the army here. If possible, it is best to stay in the military hospital for treatment, as long as your children's leaders issue a certificate. Your hospital expenses can be halved, which is more cost-effective. Okay. Then we are being treated in the military hospital. Can you please tell us about the procedures in detail? Panicked. Zhao Yushan took out a cigarette from his pocket and handed it to the other party. Please. Before the middle-aged woman could speak, the female soldier standing next to him snatched the cigarettes. You comrade, how can you give cigarettes indiscriminately? The middle-aged woman smiled wryly. Xiao Miao, I know my own body, how can I commit crimes against the wind? Don't scare the comrades. Then she looked at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. You don't have to be afraid, this is minor ailments, as long as you are willing to actively treat them, you can recover soon. Thank you, I'm lucky to have met you, otherwise. Zhao Yulan wiped the corners of her eyes, looked at the middle-aged woman gratefully, and didn't know what to say. Sure, I'm a doctor. I saw it, so of course I have to do my duty. The middle-aged woman took out a piece of paper, scribbled a few lines and handed it to Zhao Yulan. Arrange for you, the top priority now is to let your daughter find a leader to give you a letter of introduction. Okay, thank you. I still have something to do, let's see you later. After the middle-aged woman finished speaking, she waved her hands at the few people and turned to leave with the little female soldier. After the two left, Zhao Yushan hurriedly grabbed Zhao Yulan's arm. What's going on here? Who is that woman? You guys left just now. Baohe's leg hurts, so I massaged it for him. These two soldier comrades came over and asked me if they wanted to help me. Then, the older soldier comrade looked at Baohe, and then looked at the position where I was rubbing, and pulled me away, and she pressed Baohe's leg and pinched it a few times. Then, she said that she suspected that Baohe was ill. When I heard it, my brain exploded with a bang, and you all know the rest. What about the note? Look at what it says. The 401st Hospital of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, Su Xinling. Zhao Yulan read it casually, then slapped her forehead. By the way, is this the hospital that Xiaoxian is going to? It seems to be. Zhao Yushan rubbed his forehead uncertainly. Probably so. Lin Baohe, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said, whether it's true or not, let's go back and treat it, and don't cause trouble for the children here. The child's father, Zhao Yulan called anxiously, her eyes filled with tears. If it's anything else, I'll appoint you, but I can't do this. I know, you think that the status of your in-laws is more than 100 times higher than ours, and you don't want Chusia to lose her head in her husband's house because of this. But, have you ever thought about it, if you really have someone good or bad, can Chusia marry into the Jo family with peace of mind? Also, if your legs and feet are bad, even if you want to help Chusia, you won't be able to help him. Will the child be better then? I didn't say it's dead. Let's go to the county hospital right away when we go back. Just now Dr. Su also said that local hospitals can treat this kind of disease, it just costs a little more money. Compared with my daughter's face, spend more money and spend more. Don't worry, I just want to let my daughter live a good life, and I can't make my legs lame. You stubborn donkey. Zhao Yulan was so angry that she gave him a thump, pulled him up and walked to the guest house. Go back and pack your things now, after making the engagement tomorrow, go back the day after tomorrow, this matter cannot be delayed at all. Knowing that his wife agreed with his idea, Lin Bao he echoed with a chuckle, yes, I can't delay, for the sake of my daughter, for the sake of my daughter-in-law, I can't delay either. Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan looked at each other, shook their heads helplessly and followed. These two are stubborn donkeys, what else can they say? The point is, will they listen?